Good evening, councillors. Can I welcome you all to this May meeting of Colne Town Council? Do we have any apologies? I've got apologies from Neil Butterworth.
And apologies from Councillor Sarah Coburn-Price.
And Councillor Andy Bell, yeah. Any others? No, I think that's it, isn't it? Okay. Now, the item number 3 is voting in of council officers for the coming municipal year. First of all, it's chairman of the council. Oh. Well, Jenny Gina said I could.
Yeah, so do we have any nominations for chairman of the council?
Thank you. Any other nominations? No? All those in favour? Thank you. Right, the next item is Vice Chairman of the Council. So can I propose Councillor Chamberlain as Vice Chair? Any other nominations? No? Right, can all those in favour please show? Thank you. Now, the next one is Council Committee, Advisory Committee and Working Groups. And I propose just to get votes and nominations for the chairs and the vice chairs of all the committees, and then the committee members will just go through, and if we can vote for them en bloc rather than everyone, that'll be simpler. Okay, so the first is Allotments Committee. That's the first one. And I have a nomination for Councillor Mann as chair of that committee. Anybody else nominate? Thank you. No more nominations. Can we show? Can we vote on that, please? Thank you. Now, Vice Chair, I've got Councillor Robinson as Vice Chair of the Allotments Committee. Right. All those in favour? Thank you. Now, we've got the Vice Chair and the Chair of the Allotments Committee. I've also got Michael Moffat, Andy Bell and Anthony Chamberlain as members of that committee. So is everybody okay if we take those all as proposed and seconders? Can we all vote for those? There's also 2 vacancies on that committee. Does anybody else want to be on the Allotments Committee? Okay, thank you. So that's Patricia.
Who seconded, by the way?
Anybody?
Ian.
Right, the next committee is the Finance, Employment and Services Committee. I will propose chair as David Clegg. Can I have a seconder? Any other nominations for chair? No? Can all those in favour of David Clegg? Thank you. The vice chair we've got is Brian Wildman. Can someone propose Brian? And Howard second it. Yeah. All those in favour of Brian? Thank you. Vice Chairman of Finance Committee. And the members we've got are Howard Thomas, who've given that they'd like to be on the committees. Howard Thomas, Glenda Clegg, Alice Mann and Mary Thomas. So there's another vacancy. Would anybody like to do that? Yes, Patricia. Right. Is that all right with everybody? Yeah? Yeah. Do you need a proposer and seconder?
Yes, please.
Right. Proposer Ian. And Brian a seconder. Right, so we'll put that as Patricia on the that. Right. Now the events committee. Now the events terms of reference may need to be changed if there's more than 10 people want to be on this committee. But we'll have a look first because I think it might only need. I think there might only be 10 people. So the chair is. I'll nominate Anthony Chamberlain. Okay, can we vote on that then? Thank you. And the vice chair. Thank you. Can we have a seconder for that? Ooh. I'll take Alice as a seconder. All those in favour of Dorothy being vice chair? Thank you. Now we've got a raft of members here. Ian Robinson, Mary Thomas, Howard Thomas, David Clamp, Andy Bell, Michael Moffat, Alice Mann, and there's 2 places left on this committee. So I know you were on the committee before, Patricia. Do you want to? Right, okay. So that's 9 members. Yes?
Yes, 10 altogether.
That keeps it. Doesn't that take it to 10?
Yeah, that's 10
Yes.
altogether then. Yeah.
10 altogether.
Councillor Butterworth often says he wants to be on it. So if when we get to I know you asked him via text message, when we get to the whatever it's called, the terms of reference, we increase it to 11, then it's there if we need it, and if not, it'll just fall back to 10.
Is that okay with everyone? Yeah, in case Neil wants to be on this committee. Okay. The next are advisory committees is the neighbourhood plan. Now, it may be that Sarah Coburn Price would like to be the chair. I don't know, she's not here, she's not said anything, but I know she's done a lot of work on it and written it. So
I would think that she would want to remain as chair of that group.
are we okay with that?
I said that I would think that Sarah would still want to be chair.
But can we vote her in without her being here?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we happy to do that then?
Yeah. If it turns out that she doesn't want to be, we can jump off that bridge when we need to and appoint somebody at its first meeting.
Yes, Brian. Okay. Seconded. Ian, was it? Alice seconded that. So we're okay with that. Now the vice chair is Brian Wellman. Are you happy, Brian, to stay the vice chair? Yeah. All right. All those in favour? Thank you.
I'll propose a seconder for Brian. Sorry.
I'll propose him. I would second him. Well, yeah, moving it is the same as proposing it. Right. And so we've got Ian, Howard, and Alice as the 3 people who said they want to be on it. So 3 places spare. Does anybody want to be on the neighbourhood plan? Okay, so we'll put Patricia on, and there's still 2 places left if Mr. Coburn Price or anybody wants to be on. The next one is Blues Committee. There's 8 voting members. So I've been the chair up to now. So okay, thank you. All those in favour? Now the vice chair is Alice Mann, and well, I'll second that as well then. All those in favour for Alice to be the vice chair of the Blues Committee. And the members we've got are Anthony, Andy Bell, Ian Robinson and Howard Thomas. And there's 2 places spare on that. Right, Dorothy, that's you.
I've got lost then. So I've got Anthony Chamberlain, Andy Bell, Ian Robinson, Howard Thomas,
Dorothy Lord
Dorothy Lord, and
and Patricia. Right. The next one is the Contracts Committee, which is a subcommittee of the FES. So we've got, can I,
Perhaps for people that don't know, you should explain that this is to look at all the contracts that are that we have, such as the grass cutting, which we've sorted for this year, and in that contract's carrying over. But then there are all the maintenance contracts for playgrounds, bush shelters, and anything else that
it's also
Covers.
general contracts like when the insurance needs to be renewed, Christmas
HR.
lights,
yeah,
IT, everything that we have contracts for, basically.
well, have we done the chairs and vice
No.
chairs yet? No.
No,
Right.
start with the chair.
We have someone to propose Howard Thomas as the chair?
I'll propose him.
Well, I've got
everybody else
got
what, mate?
David Clegg and Ian also put his name to second that. All those in favour? Vice chair,
Move Councillor Clamp.
we'll move Councillor Clout. Any seconder for that? Thank. Well, Patricia, I think, did it first. All those in favour? Thank you. We've got members who are David Clegg, Anthony Chamberlain, Ian Robinson, Alice Mann, and is there anyone else want to be on the, and Brian?
Dorothy.
Okay,
Dorothy.
No.
we haven't got enough for that.
She
to-
just said she
yeah.
wanted to be on it.
Yeah. Well, we can. I'm not desperate. I mean, I could. Yeah, yeah. No, that's all right. No. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that how many? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Is it 8?
Six. Was it not only 6 on that?
No, it must have been. How many was it?
Six.
Eight. Oh, we've got too many of them. 6. Is it 6? No, no. Was it 6?
No, 1, 2, 3,
Six.
4, 5, 6.
Is it 6,
Just
including the chair and vice chair?
Yeah.
what did I can't find.
Let's just check.
Hold on. Oh,
6.
6. So we had 6. Yeah,
So
but,
six.
so the
Yeah.
one spare, but spare
So
wasn't
we
spare.
need
That one space wasn't spare. No. You what?
You've had the detail.
Councillor Clegg, what did you say?
I said you have added it up wrong.
Which
Right,
is
so- who are the 4 other members then? Can I check this?
David Clegg,
David Clegg.
Anthony Chamberlain, Ian Robinson, and Alice Mann. Now, if anybody doesn't want to do that, right, okay. Right, Colne Archive Working Group is the next one.
I do know that Councillor Sarah Coburn Price wants to be on this.
Yes, Ian. You can. Have you got a seconder for that? Right. All those in favour? All those again? Right.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair. I think you said, Ian, you'd like to be vice chair on this, didn't you? Thank you, Patricia. Now the members are Alice Mann, Dorothy Lord, Brian Wildman and Mary Thomas.
Other member can be co-opted but can't vote.
But can't vote. Yeah, right. So does everybody know what you're on? All the committees, does everybody know what they're on? Right. Right.
Yes.
Now, item 5 is voting in of council members to represent Colne Town Council at outside forums.
Can I also add Colne area committees to this as well?
I think they've already done Colne Area Committee at the last meeting. Didn't they, Dorothy? Right. At the Colne Area Committee last time, David Coburn Price, as chair, agreed that I would be,
You are the current.
yeah,
you
and
would
they
agree
said
to
that
do
they said I would continue as chair of here, going to Colne Area.
Chair, can I make a suggestion that instead of voting for this each time, we say that it's the chair of the council is the it's our representative on the Colne Area Committee, and in the chair's absence, the vice chair
Turns up.
substitutes. And if well, you know, we'll cross the bridge when we come to it if both parties are unable at the same time.
Is that okay then? Yeah. So you're a substitute, Anthony, for the Colne Area Committee, right? Any other ones?
It's just the now WALC and SLCC. Are we saying the same thing?
Can you tell us what SLCC is?
It's the Society of Local Council Clerks, but they do want representatives from
Right.
councillors.
When are they all
They have-
meeting? Is it Zoom meetings?
Is that-
To be honest, I usually attend the branch meetings for SLCC.
Well, I would have thought as the C in its clerks and not councillor, that makes sense. So if we say again, it's the chair and the vice chair as substitute, and
But Nalcan Lalk.
yeah, and the town clerk or substitute for SLCC.
Yeah. And if you can't go, Gina, you'll have to
It'll
send
be deputy clerk.
Clark. Yeah.
That'll slow him up a bit.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Item 6, declaration of interest. To receive any declarations of interest from members relating to any item on the agenda in accordance with the provisions of the Code of Conduct and or indicate if Section 106 of the Local Government Finance Act 1992 applies to them. Minutes of the meeting in April. Have you all got those? Can I have a right, Dorothy second, Howard. All those in favour of those?
And in order to actually say, Chair, that if they're circulated far enough in advance that and there are no alterations put forward or amendments put forward, they should just be taken as read.
Yeah.
So if there are typos, it's too late. Technically, according to the standing orders, it's too late to alter them.
Thank you. Do we need?
Yeah, sorry, you can't second because you weren't in attendance at the meeting, Dorothy. Okay.
Okay. So all those in favour of the meeting minutes from last time. The next item is public forum, but we don't have any public here, so we'll move on to item 9. And there's no one here from the Borough Council or the County Council. Well, there's Dorothy. Yeah. Have you got a report? Well, I've already asked our county councillor for Pendle Rural and the leader of Pendle Council now that if he could send us a written report, it would be better, because then we'd have things we can look at and ask about if we don't know, rather than having them just talking, because you can't write it all down, can you? I don't know. Councillor Whip said he could do that if he wanted. Councillor Whip. No, well, neither is Ash Sutcliffe when he came. Yeah, who's to put the hand up first?
Chair, rather than chugging round all this, I think what we ought to do as a town council is write to the 3 county councillors that cover the area, which is Councillor, I've forgotten the name, Atkinson, Councillor McCullum and Councillor Whip. That's right, to the 3 county councillors, and ask if there is anything to report that is pertaining to the town. They send us a note in writing, because having verbal reports for it's a waste of time. And I think we should do the same, write to the chair of the Colne Area Committee and ask if there's anything particular to report. They send it in writing, instead of this nonsense of we've done the because it's not recorded properly, other than in a cloud somewhere. So I think and if people don't send it in writing, they've missed the chance. So I'll formally move that.
Is there any alternative, or are you seconding that? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else wants to speak on this? No? All those in favour? Then? Were you wanting to speak, Ian? Sorry.
I think it is actually important that, irrespective of if it's verbal or written, it's really good to find out what is actually happening. Otherwise, we run the danger of operating in isolation to the rest of humanity. Yes, we can deal with certain problems within our town, but there are a lot of issues. For example, we give our opinion on planning applications in Colne, what we think of it, and that's it. So to have a report on what's actually happened, have we been successful? Have they listened to our comments? Also, to keep us up to date of problems in our town or future happenings. For example, if they're going to close the entire street down to resurface it, it's good that we find out in advance so we can be ready to answer any questions from the public. And that inter-cooperation is vital. Otherwise, we run the risk of being totally isolated. So, irrespective, I think it should always continue.
Chair, that would be true if that was what we were told, but we never told any of that. The last report we had from former county councillor Sutcliffe was that the county were using the goodish weather around January time to repaint limes, and that was about it. None of the stuff to do with whatever it was called round Queen Street and that area was ever formally reported to us from the county council. So I think this should be in writing, and then we can ask questions on it. And
Dorothy.
Out from county level and borough comes from Councillor Clegg, Councillor David Clegg. We've got all that information sent to us. If there's anything important in the town, David lets us know. So it's
Okay.
not as though we don't know anything.
Brian.
Well, we've already voted to put it forward to put it in writing from them. So if we can't get it in writing, we're not going to get it anyway, you know. So, but what Ian and what Dorothy says, both correct, but we've voted now to put it in writing, so we should just move on.
Right. Okay.
just can I amend my own motion that report should come, say at least a Friday before the meeting, so we've got a chance to read it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Have you got that, Gina? More or less. Right. Where are we now? Right. Item 10 is finances. To receive a schedule of payments from the 9th of April to the 13th of May for approval by the chair. So is there any comments on the paper, the first paper A, 10A? Anybody, any questions?
So I'd like to move all three papers en bloc.
Right. Okay. Well, there's one, there's the one, and then there's the one for over £1,000, isn't it? 10A, 10B, and the summary of the budget. Is anybody okay with that? No questions, issues? No? Okay. All those in favour of the finances this month, thank you. Public Works Loan Board, item 11, borrowing requirements. You've all got a paper there. We need to make a decision about this. To receive a report from the town clerk and the responsible finance officer regarding the town council capital funding requirements for number 2 Albert Road and detailing a recommendation from the FES committee. And the recommendation is?
Yeah, well, so the reason why this has come back is because at the last full council meeting, we did agree to add £20,000 to the loan amount, which put it to £250,000. And that was what was agreed upon at the last full council. However, I then did another loan analysis based on the 250,000. And it did increase interest payments substantially by about, I think it was about £12,000. So it was then taken to the last FES committee. And because year end, we were expecting around 100 and I think it was 130,000 to come out of reserves, but because we brought more income in, we're actually only taking out 90,000. So because of that, we will have more in general reserves than we expected to have. So it was decided at FES that we would use £20,000 from general reserves instead of adding it to the loan. So obviously that changes repayment calculations and figures. So we need to agree the new term and the new repayment figures.
Okay, has anybody any questions? Do you want to say anything, Councillor Clegg, as chair of the FAS?
I think it's not as long to get here, but I think it sort of explains itself. Unless there's anyone got a specific question for clarification they want to ask. There's no point me just repeating everything what Steve said at other meetings and what Jean has just said now.
No.
Unless someone has a specific query about something.
Right. So anybody got a question about this Public Works Loan Board? I think we need to record a vote on this and have it properly. So I'll ask for a proposer to take to agree what Jean has said. Thank you.
Right, so we're approving all the recommendations in the report.
Right.
Okay, so if we can have
Can we
second
all? Can I see a show of hands to accept this?
yes.
Yeah. Brian will second it. Right. Can I have a look at everybody?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you. Now, item 12 is all the review of terms of reference that you've got. So we'll take each committee individually, but we'll need a proposer and a seconder for each one. So hang on. We start with the. I think it's the allotments committee, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, Alice.
Can we make an amendment, please, so that the terms are in line with all the other committees? 1B, the allotment committee may co-opt up to 2 allotment representatives to serve as full members of the committee, but without voting rights.
It says with voting rights.
It does say, but could we make an amendment on that so that it's in line with all the other committees? And that means that 4A will be no longer needed.
Or a. Has anybody anything comments to say about that? Alice's amendment.
To be honest, Chair, I thought that had been not specifically for that, but on other committees, that is very much
Yes.
the rule. So
Yeah.
We have been running for as it is without the cooperative members voting. So, but could we just put that in writing?
Yeah. Yes, Ian.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to be controversial, disagree. The reason why this is different, I think it's in recognition of the service that the allotment holders have given historically. Because people forget, until Town Council took over the allotments, who ran the allotments? Theoretically, it was the council. Reality, it was one council officer to the estates. The allotments were run by a separate committee of allotment holders. These people gave a lot of time and effort, their own time of effort, of running those allotments without pay. And I think this was put in as that recognition to long-serving allotment holders. And I do know that one of the co-opted at the moment was previously, I believe, at least secretary of the Alkincourt Allotment Committee, put in many, many years of work. The other co-opted member has put in many, many years of work as a mentor, done a lot of work. And I think this was, as I say, this was put in as a way of rewarding them and also to give the allotments holders a say. Because at the moment, they can say anything they want, but they don't actually have a vote in it. They don't, in reality, they don't have a say. And I think it's important they do. I think that's why it is different. I think it should be treated differently. You know, it's important we recognise the work that the allotment members, some of them put in before we took over.
Right. Anybody want to say anything?
I hear what Ian's saying, but there is no reason why the Alkin Courts allotment can't have their own little committee, the intake allotments and all the rest. And indeed, I think going back, it was probably only Nelson where, because they were next to the council yard, as it were, that they actually got involved. I think there are difficulties when you've got non-elected members voting on stuff that affects the rest of the, you know, I think legally there are
Finance and stuff.
there may be difficulties there, but it just brings it into line with every other committee, subcommittee.
David?
Yes, Chairman. Can I ask Gina a question? I already know the answer to the question, but I want Gina to answer it. Does the allotments committee have a budget?
Yeah.
In that case, being a standing committee with a budget, it cannot have non-councillors with a right to vote, and it never should have had, to be honest.
No. Thank you. Well, I think that's that. Yes. Ian. Sorry, Brian. Yes.
I think the allotments committee only meets about 4 times a year, and I'm not sure, but I think on some occasions they've struggled to get members there to vote, and some of the meetings may have not been held. I know Alice can confirm that, but I think I remember at least one occasion they didn't have enough members there. You know, they've only got 6 members on this committee at the moment.
Thank you. Alice? Oh, Michael.
No, I hear what Ian says, but I think it should be brought in line. And the idea that for some reason people should be rewarded with a vote, that wouldn't apply to other committees. I mean, these people have an interest in so that might influence their vote. So I think it should be brought into line with the others.
Thank you. Thank you.
Those members would have a pecuniary interest when rents were put up, when work was decided to be done on one site or another. So it just legally is well, it's not a grey area. I think it's just not allowed.
Thank you. Who else put the hand up?
Thank you,
Patricia.
Yeah. When I was in the Nelson Town Council, we had a similar situation, but because their allotments committee was run purely by the allotment holders, and they just had a representative come and tell the council, it's completely different. So I understand where Councillor Mann is coming from, and I can understand Councillor Robinson as well. But I agree with Councillor Mann, and I agree with Councillor Thomas. It should be in-house, and like Councillor Clegg said, no non-councillor should have a right to vote on financial matters, because as Gina said, they do have a budget. And I've been reading through this, and because it's got to come back to the FES, we can't have a non-councillor voting on financial matters.
Thank you. Right. So that seems to be clear. So we'll put the terms of reference back to as the others are, that they can be on the committee, but they can't vote. Okay. Yes, Dorothy.
This has just struck me while we've been discussing this. Why don't we have Colney and Bloom on this list? I mean, I know they meet, they have a committee, but surely now, as we're financially holding this body up, why can it not come, you know? I mean, as a committee, a proper committee.
They haven't actually asked for that. The Colin Blue.
Well, I don't really matter.
It's under a
do they?
management agreement at the moment, which I think
I mean,
has only got a year left on it.
we've taken Colin Bloom on. How much responsible are we for that group? And it's only struck me while we've been discussing this. You know, I think it should be on this list.
Chair, did Gina say that the current agreement only has a year to run?
Yes.
Well, in that case, this is not the time to discuss it. The time to discuss it is next year.
I just thought I'd mention it.
Did you want to say anything, Alice?
It's just that when we meet, we always have an officer with us. So perhaps that will cover your recommendation there. And also perhaps we can address this next year when the agreement is up.
Yeah, this is an official agreement. I don't know whether it's.
And of course, everybody is welcome to the meetings.
Yeah.
Well, I just think, you know, things may be or should be brought back here if there's anything that we need to know. I don't know what they do, what's going on. You know, but it's all right. It was just a thought.
Well, it's a bit similar to the Blues Committee. We're paying all that, but I mean, often they don't come, you know, so it's not that we assume that the officers know what's, you know, that it's okay because the officers don't come and say there's a problem. Like if there was a problem with the Blues, Nathan will hopefully come and say, you know, we're having, you know, there's some issue, but you know, so it's a bit. But if this agreement that's a written agreement, it finishes next year, then we can look at that then. Okay. The next
House, you need to be very careful what you do, because several things could be affected by it. If ever they were to want a grant for anything, they couldn't, because they'd be part of the council, so you'd scupper that. And there are several other things you could mess up with, because and I'll make no bones about saying this, because it is a true fact. There are people who will sponsor the Cone in Bloom because it is Cone in Bloom, whereas they wouldn't sponsor it if it was the council, in inverted commas, who was providing that service, and you would lose out there. And I'll say.
Good. Right, we'll move on. We've got the Finance, Employment and Services Committee. Terms of reference. Oh, everybody okay with those? It's two pages. If everybody's okay with those, can someone propose them, please? Thank you, Ian. Can somebody second that, Howard? All those in favour? Thank you. The next one is the Events Committee. Are we all right with the Events Committee?
Obviously, there is that one amendment. We've obviously just taken Halloween in Cone out.
Yeah. They've taken Halloween in Cone out. That's the difference from the last time. So are we all okay with that? We've had a proposer.
Did we have 10 people
10.
not counting Councillor Butterworth, or counting Councillor Butterworth?
Not counting.
Not
councillor.
counting.
So we ought to amend.
Oh yeah, to
for
say
this
that
year for this year and this year only it's 11.
No,
Are you happy with that? That you can
And
get,
if,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Thank
with that amendment, are we okay to vote for these terms of reference as is? Thank you. The next one is the Colne Neighbourhood Plan Advisory Committee.
no changes to this from last time.
Okay, so can somebody propose that we accept these? Ian and Brian a second. All those in favour? The Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival Advisory Committee.
Right. The only difference in this one is that obviously before it says that it works within
60,000.
a net budget of 60,000. Now that is gradually creeping upwards. So I'm suggesting we amend it to 70,000.
Have you got a seconder? Howard? All those in favour? I'm just wondering where Councillor Chamberlain's has gone. Okay. Right, Contracts Committee. This is a new committee. And we've heard that it's for all the committees that the town council have.
All the contracts.
All the contracts, all right. Yes, Alice.
I was just wondering whether we could up the numbers so that Councillor Lord could be included from 6 to 7. I don't know whether that's possible, but just wondered.
Can't see any reason why not.
I'll second that.
Is there a reason why it's 6? Is it because it has to go back to the FES committee?
There's only 7 members in FES, so it was just obviously if it's a subcommittee of.
It's usually lower than the main committee, if you will. Do you want to say something, Councillor Clegg?
Yes, Chairman, it is only a subcommittee. It does have to report to FES because it's a subcommittee of FES. But what we've got to be careful of, we don't want the committee to be too big, else it won't get the work done it's intended to do. And don't forget, there could be anything up to 4 or possibly 5 people at that meeting from other organisations such as Pendle Council and various contractors. So there could quite easily be 10 or 12 people there anyway. And if it's too big, you'll not get the work. Be honest, work for 6 hours.
What does anybody else think? Got any?
Me and David were also discussing with it being that quarterly we will ask the GM contractors to attend, that they would not want to attend in an evening. So it's likely that these meetings would be held during the day.
Well, we've not.
So anyone who's on there that can't attend during the day.
I don't know.
I think, Chair, it's a new subcommittee. Let's give it this year and then, see how it pans out.
We were going to wait to hold the first meeting until Leah, the contracts officer, comes back off maternity leave. So that is the beginning of July.
So what's the feeling in the room? Leave it as it is, or yeah?
Right, do we have
Okay,
a
we're going to.
proposer?
Have we got a proposer to leave it as it is then? Patricia, second. Howard or Ian or Alex? All those in favour to leave it as it is for this until next year? Yeah, because nobody knows what it's going to be. Never had one of these before. Right. The Cone Archive Working Group. The Cone Archive Working Group.
Obviously, again, this is just a draft, because it's the first time we've had it. So,
And who is that? There'll be Ian, Alice, Dorothy, Brian, and me, and Sarah, if she wants to be in it. I'm just looking.
well, she's been nominated as chair.
You know, she's been nominated as chair. Right, are we okay with the terms of reference of this new committee? Right.
Yeah, but proposing.
Have we got a proposer? Ian, a seconder? Howard? Oh, right. Thank you. Right, the item 13 is standing orders and financial regulations.
Chairman, on this one, if you're on the standing orders, if you look at section 4 and then look at paragraph B, it has.
Has anybody any questions on standing orders and financial regs? Item 13. Can someone propose them there as they are?
But the allotment committee only work within the agreed budget from the council. They can't add anything else in. Is, but they don't control that.
Well, you can have that argument outside the meeting.
They do control it because they decide whether to spend it at intake or out in courts. So that is controlling the finances.
Yeah.
Right, well, are we passing these standing orders? Yeah, yeah. Are we all right with those? Yeah? Right, oh, good. Jolly good. Right, the next one is
Hold on, I forgot a seconder for that.
who's second the standing orders?
Oh,
Howard. All those in favour? Standing orders, thank you. Right, public space protection order proposed extension. That's item 14. Yes, councillor Thomas?
I've no objection with it as set out. But if you look at the rationale behind the act that does it, it says it also covers antisocial behaviour and such things. So I think we should say, yeah, we agree with the dog, the dog part of it. So I think we should ask if they will look at including some part of that order to cover antisocial behaviour, or not cover, to fight antisocial behaviour, which we've been suffering from, as we all know. Just seems that this may be the opportunity to put something in there which may just strengthen our hand when dealing with I'm trying to think of a nice word.
Well, just
vandals, vandals, or whatever. I think it's worth asking the question, Chair.
Anybody else? Any questions? Pat and then Ian.
I agree with that totally. I'm glad they've done a thing on dogs, but it's not good enough yet because it's easy to get out of it. There's no way so far that these things have been policed, and I don't think the vandal side of it will be policed very well either, but we should try it because everybody in this town is absolutely sick and fed up of the kids. And it's spoiling everybody's life.
Mm.
You know, you get an odd one that's a decent kid, but that one is far overshadowed by all the bad ones, and nobody seems to be doing anything. It's not a police thing, it's not a council thing. Who does belong to this problem? Who can do anything about it?
Dorothy, do you want to? Have you got some? Did you want to say something?
I agree with Pat to a certain extent. I don't think it's a massive group of kids and a small number that behave. I think it's opposite way. It's a small minority of children, and the rest of them are fine. But they get all over the town. That's the Well, I thing. know they can do. You know, not in school. There aren't many to sort out, but nobody's even bothering. That's what I'm more bothered about. It doesn't seem that anybody cares enough to do something about it.
Well,
I think I haven't finished yet. So I think going on from that part, even if it's a group of 10, 20, we don't have the resources. We don't have the resources to cope with them and everything else that the police have to deal with. You know, traffic, burglaries, anything along with vandalism and unruly kids.
I do take that, but it's the police's fault. They've taken our sergeant from Colne. We don't have one anymore. And I've spoken to 4 police people this last week asking, when are we going to get a sergeant back? And all of them have said, probably, we don't know, you may not get one. So the one that was here has gone to Nelson and Briarfield and is absolutely busy, can't come. So there's nobody. There's no police officer that's designated Colne anymore.
Well, can somebody tell the people in Colne when they shout and say, well, police don't come, and when they do not? Can't we tell them there aren't any police for them to come and do anything? Because we haven't got them. We So can say council then. Sorry, Pat. We can say that, and for quite some time now, I know that there's been on occasional weekends, or more than occasional weekends, that there's been at night 2 policemen covering Colne and West Craven. Yeah.
So it's a big area. And I mean, I think people get fed up because they come to the Community Safety Partnership. There's a lot came last time
They did
because of all the vandalism in the park, and no policemen were there.
No. That's another thing, Chair. I mentioned to Ash that after that meeting, the sergeant sent an email rather than them come in person, and I wanted assurance that that wasn't going to be the norm now. We'll just send an email. We won't turn up. We'll just send an email. I know they're overstretched. We all know that, but they have to come. People turned up to that meeting so they could talk to the police.
Yeah. Yes, David.
Yes, Chairman, I am confused.
So am I.
Right, if you look on the page that says Schedule 4, where it says Colne, and it says Hawley Street Play Area, well, I get that. But further down there, at number 35 and 36, there are 2 King George ones. What does removed mean?
I have no idea.
Well, we need to know, has it been removed from this and it's no longer part of it? And secondly, that this set Schedule 4 is including play areas and muggers. And it looks to me as though not only are they removing King George play area from it and King George mugger from it, because it says removed, that Alkin Court's play area and Alkin Court's mugger has never been included. Why?
Well, I think we'll have to ask
They're not
ask
covered
them.
by a different public space protection order.
Who what?
I don't know.
The park is covered by a different public
Yes.
space protection order.
You'll have to talk.
Which would explain that. Yes.
And did we not add? I know we didn't. Yeah, did we not add King George's into that public space protection order last time?
I don't know.
I think we did.
What they've sent would say that.
Yeah, what they've
No.
said, what we've got off them for all these public space protection orders does not include King George's, does it? Because it's not in the list now. And if we can't see it in the other list, we don't know whether it's covered or not.
We can
So
always
if we
ask
need
the
to query
question.
it, we need to know. Because we don't want to have a public space protection order that's covering some things in Colne and not others. And then if we say to police, why are you not doing anything about this dog or whatever in this play area or in this mugger? We can't do a damn thing about it if it's not in list for them to do, can we? So we need to know.
Councillors,
We don't.
No.
so can we find out exactly where they are, if they're somewhere else, and if they're not, why they're not
Yeah.
being done? Yeah.
If they're on another list, like Gina's suggested, maybe that's fine, but let's be knowing they are on the list somewhere.
Yeah.
and that they're
Are we-
covered.
Are we happy with that? Are we well, not happy, but we need to ask that, don't we? That question. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do that. That's a minute from here. Okay. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Item 5 is Santander Bank closure, link banking hub for Colne and villages. Now then, I'll open the floor up to say what you think about us not getting a hub. You've seen the thing from the MP who's asked, and they've said, no, you can't have one. But I don't think we should accept that as Colne Town Council. So I've got a motion to council tonight. If I shall read it. And if you want any changes, you'll have to ask me, but I'll read it now. So this is motion to council. Colne Town Council notes with grave concern that Santander has confirmed closure of their branch in Colne. Council also notes that Link, the body overseeing new banking hubs, has declined to include Colne in the towns getting a new hub following the closure of these last banks. Council points out that Colne has a thriving daytime retail economy with scores of traders and a bustling nighttime economy with busy venues with restaurants. Plus, we have many large events during the year, bringing visitors from near and far who require cash on demand. All these activities and events depend on a great extent on access to cash, and that there is little intertown trading or activities with Nelson. Accordingly, council resolves to request Link to review their refusal of the banking hub for Colne and to seek a meeting with them in Colne to discuss our request. All right, thank you. I think that's
Chair, yeah, I think the problem has been that the MP wrote and said, please can we have a hub? And Link wrote back and said, no, you can't. So I think then somebody said, oh, please let us have one. And then they said, no, you can't. Now, the difficulty that I don't think they've quite twigged is that it doesn't, I know it affects Colne, and we are in the position that probably if you did just take Colne alone, it is on the margins of whether it meets all the criteria. However, what it doesn't do is take any account of Lancashire Bridge or Trawden or Foulridge or people that live at the top of Notts Lane, people that live top of Red Lane and other areas which are not particularly simple if you're of a certain age and need to catch a bus, if you can find one, to get down into town and use a cash machine. And it also is not easy if you're running a little shop somewhere that you want to pay money in, because there's nowhere to do it. If, for instance, you lived at the bottom of Cotton Tree Lane, which is still technically in Colne, and you've got to catch a bus, you've got a chance once an hour to catch a bus. If you're then going to the nearest hub, you've either got to catch a bus to Barwick or a bus to Nelson. And
Nelson doesn't have a hub yet, anyway.
Well, that's
it's
not getting one. Oh, right. Oh, well. Well, that, if that's true, that makes their decision even more ludicrous than it is at the minute. It's just a way of fobbing off what is at the moment a thriving town centre. One or two problems with the odd empty shop, mainly because people are retiring, and the lack of infrastructure that's there to get mobile in on public transport. So we should get somebody from Link, and you might almost say they've got a vested interest because they're owned by the banks. So, you know, it's like asking students to mark their own homework. They're saying, oh, what they don't know is the topography of the area and the difficulties of getting in and out.
That's why we need a proper meeting to tell them.
Which is why we need a proper hub. So I think we should get them in here, hold their feet to the fire and say, come on, we're not letting you go till you give us a hub. Although that's probably illegal, isn't it? 'Cause that'd be...
Well, they won't. I mean, I've looked at what, and they said it has to be about 20,000 people. Well, there's 18,000 and something in Colne. There's over 2,000 people live in Trawden, because I've looked at all the census from 2023. So we've got at least 30,000. We'll be looking at all the villages and that. And if Nelson hasn't got one, and they also say from wherever you are, if it takes you longer than 15 minutes on public transport to get to a machine, then you should have a hub. So on all that criteria, they've not been honest, because if you live at top of Lane House in Trawden, even if you get the bus, it takes you over that to get here. So, right, Anthony?
I see from where Link are coming from, they'll just turn around and say, we're putting one in Barnoldswick and we're putting one in Nelson, and it's up to the people of Colne, obviously, to make that journey. Well, I agree to some residents that's going to be difficult. Getting them to overturn this decision will be incredibly difficult. I doubt they'll do it. It's worth fighting for, but I highly doubt it's a fight that we're going to win. There'll arguments on businesses, obviously, because we've got 2 post offices in town, obviously, which businesses can use to pay money into their accounts at post offices. So I'd say,
I mean, the one down Skipton Road, I know, you can never get in the door because people are doing all.
They're always queuing.
They're always queuing, and also it's got a narrow door, so if you've got in a wheelchair, you can't get in.
Yeah, there's the only real disabled access for the post office we have is along on Albert Road. That's that's what they'll come back and say is literally you're getting one in Nelson and there's adequate bus services, obviously from Colne bus station down there from Trawden into Nelson, and that's what they'll come back and say. And there's even like obviously we can get to obviously Burnley on a train within 15 minutes. That's what they'll look at it and look at the well when we do have trains, but that's another matter because they'll look at it.
Trains don't come.
Well, yeah, obviously they'll just look at the timetable and say, right,
Yeah.
you can get to A and B in such. Why is this an issue? That's what they'll come back with. Apart from actually physically dragging one here and then taking them down to obviously Trawden up top of there and back and actually saying, right, you do this journey, you physically try and do this journey on public transport. And I don't see it. It is good what we're doing, but
But we got to try.
we've got to try, yeah.
And we've got to tell the residents that we're trying because they expect us to do something. Patricia.
Yes, Chair. It beggars belief. Colne is a thriving town. Nelson is a dying town. Barnoldswick is a good village, and it's doing better than Nelson. I can understand it going to Barnoldswick. The fact that there's the Halifax are moving out of Nelson next March.
Oh,
right. So so Nelson aren't going to get, if they are going to be getting this hub, they're not going to be getting it until Christmas 26, if they're going to get it. We need it now because when are we losing Santander in a couple of months? July. So we're losing that in 2 months. We are a thriving town. We are busier than Nelson are. We're busier at night time than what Nelson are at the daytime. That's how bad Nelson are.
Yeah. And I think lots of people from Barrowford shop here rather than Nelson.
And the thing is, people are coming through. If they want to come through, they'll come through from Briarfield if they want to, because they can't get anything in Nelson or Briarfield. They come to Colne, or they'll go to Burnley. So for only having the one brand, all right, I can understand you've got 2 post offices, as you say. The one down Skipton Road you can't get into. And if you are disabled, like Councillor Lord and myself, or you're in a chair or anything like that, the only one we can use is the one down that Albert Road there. We need to have a proper banking hub here in Colne. So that's why I support the motion.
Right. Okay. Anybody else want to?
Simon, just to be clear, Nelson have been granted theirs.
Nelson have been granted then. All right. Yes, Dorothy.
That we will fight till the very end until they do say, sorry, you're not having one.
Yeah.
I think we've got to.
Because what do they think we
carry on, and fight them.
They did. They expected at elections that we'd represent them.
Absolutely. And then regardless of the elections, we would have done it anyway.
Yeah.
But I do think, the residents need to have some faith and, see that we are doing something, and we have done something. But they don't look like they're going to back down, which is sad.
Pat?
You've got it there, David. What do we need to do to get to those people to find out why Nelson have got it now and we don't stand a cat and else chance? What do we do?
Well, we just keep on saying that they don't know they've just looked on a map or something. They've not known what. I mean, I know old people in Trawden. They've never been to Nelson for like 30 years. If
No.
they got off bus, they wouldn't know where they were anyway,
No,
and they
not
wouldn't
now.
go. And really, there isn't a bus from Trawden down to Barnells. They'd have to get one to Colne once an hour, then they'd have to wait another hour for a bus to Barnells. So our infrastructure is terrible. But what really gets me very angry is that, like, Leeds is where Link is. That's the company that does it. And I've looked, and it's the same around Manchester. The periphery towns around Leeds, like Morley, it's 9 minutes on the train to get to Leeds, and they've been told they're getting a link, and they've got wonderful transport, and loads of banks to go to in Leeds, but yet they're going to get a hub, even though it's 9 minutes on the train from Morley Station to Leeds Central Station. It just seems absurd to me that they put in links in where there's lots of really good infrastructure. And yet where we haven't got good infrastructure, we're not getting what we should do. Anyway.
Chairman, earlier today, I did send Gina a copy of the outcome of the review for Colne, explaining in no uncertain terms that they had rejected it, refused it, or whatever you want to call it. I have now got on my screen here the outcome of the assessment for Nelson, and I can quickly read that out to you if you want. It says, we are recommending the permanent provision of the following cash access services in the local area that we are assessing for people living in the area and as appropriate for local businesses. And it says a bank hub with an ATM, a cash deposit service for personal current accounts that is provided free of charge, a cash deposit service for businesses, a cash withdrawal service for personal accounts that is provided free of charge, and a cash withdrawal service for businesses. And that is what they have. Their review has come out with the suggestion of recommending that for Nelson. And it says the service will be provided from Monday to Friday, 9 AM to 5 PM.
Is that because Nelson
That's for Nelson.
doesn't have a post office? Does it?
Yeah. It used to be where Woolworths was.
Yeah.
Mm.
What I will do when I get home, I'll go back onto this site and I'll send that to Gina for Nelson so that she can send the review results for Colne and the review results for Nelson to all 17 members of the council. And then you've all got it. I don't know why they've accepted Nelson and not Colne. I don't know. But they have accepted Colne, Nelson and not us.
Yes, Dorothy.
It reminds me of the leisure centre situation, this, where people wanted Barnoldswick to stay home and Wavelengths and us closed down. Now, is it because we're in the middle of the two towns? Well, it is, isn't it?
Mm.
And this is the same situation. You know, we're the man in the middle, and we're going to suffer.
Well, it's not right. Brian.
Just to add to that.
Oh, Brian wants to speak. Brian?
I've just been talking to ChatGPT, and it says, well, there's currently no plans to establish a banking hub in Colne. Ongoing community advocacy and changing circumstances may influence future decisions regarding banking services in the area. So I see no harm in your resolution tonight, and we'll keep fighting for a banking hub.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to send it to the press as well, so that they'll hopefully have it in the newspapers or on Lancs Live or whatever it's called. And so at least they can see we're trying to do something. I don't know anybody at North West News, but I can send it to North West News. Yeah. Right. How would you? Yeah. How would you? Yeah. Hello.
All I was going to add was that the petition that we organised in the run up to the elections was signed in very short order by 600 people.
And I presume if you'd have put them in shops, they'd have got even more, wouldn't they? Yeah. And is everybody happy that we pass this motion and that I get it in the press if I can? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Item. We're on the last page now. Colne Junior Council. You've seen the pictures. Is there any updates?
No, not really. Just other than that, it got some attention from the Lancashire Telegraph and on Jonathan Hinder's Facebook page. They did ask him to try and get free school meals for all primary school children. He did say he would present it to various different people, but whether they get anywhere is another thing, isn't it?
Okay.
But they did get some nice publicity.
Yeah. Item 17, Treasure Our Town. We went down to King George playing fields a few weeks ago. And it was surprisingly quiet. There wasn't that much litter around, really. It was quite pleasing.
I was wondering if someone had already been like an hour before
us. Yeah. The next one's in July, and the next one's in July. You've got the list, I think. There's not one in June. All right. I don't think we'll be there anyway. I have to give our apologies. But yes, people are turning up. Or, councillors are turning up and pick up for Colne and other people. So it's all getting done. Item 18 is the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. Can anybody tell me how many tickets there are still to sell? The blues. 1,005. Yeah. And
it's probably slightly less than that now.
Yeah, but they need to get a move on, don't they? It's gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, they went quite quickly.
Yeah. Right. Item 19 is Colne Neighbourhood Plan. Can you give a bit of an update, Gina?
Well, I just put the draft minutes of the meeting into the meeting papers, and that's basically what happened at the last meeting. So, and we can just read that at your leisure. Basically, it was we found that we had a lot to do. Various different people were looking at different things we were going through it, wanting to update images, wanting to add possible new green policies, changes in the non-designated heritage assets, and also to add sites for housing, given that the housing target for Pendle has now increased substantially.
Yeah.
But that's it in a nutshell. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Item 20 is planning. So the first one is 20/0277/VAR, which is a extension. It's a variation of condition. It's former ELE Advanced Technologies, Cotton Tree Lane, Colne. I don't know what the condition is actually.
Chair, I,
Do you have a look?
I suspect that condition 2 was that it be in accordance with the submitted plans.
Plans.
I didn't check that, but the plans that are on there are all things like sections through the road and drainage and goodness knows what. I couldn't see anything in there that wouldn't have been dealt with at the stage that that condition was put on in the first place. So I think,
I know they've
unless we've
dropped a
got
lot
any-
of trees down.
yeah, but that covered by a separate.
Yeah,
I don't think one of the variations was we'll chop more trees down.
no, right.
Perhaps we can put a note on that we would like them to make sure that there is enough replacement planting.
Yeah, we could. Can we do that? Councillor Bell has just been at a planning thing all night. So 20/0272/ADB. That's land adjacent to White Walls Drive. It's about advertising consent for these illuminated totems for the big garage there. And the car wash and everything else. Ian, you want to speak on this?
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure we've had a few other planning applications for illuminated signs from this same site, the same area.
Yeah.
And I just get the feeling that instead of putting in a planning application for about 100 different signs, which are going to get refused, they're just putting them in dribs and drabs till they've got the 100 signs. You know, it's just ridiculous, the amount. It's going to end up looking like Las Vegas by the time we're finished. They need to be told that this ain't Las Vegas, this is Colne.
Yeah.
We're a small market town. You know, I think this is unacceptable. I think it goes against our design code.
Yeah. So what we're saying that, yes, Councillor Bell.
Yes, thank you. This has been raised, as Councillor Ian just said, that when they've asked permission for various limited signs, the first ones that went through, a month later they put more in. The following month there was even more coming through. And at the time, if I remember recall correctly, we were saying, well, because it's next to a nature reserve, we've got to be careful that we're not illuminating to such an extent that it's going to have an adverse effect on the wildlife of the area. Now, if somebody can't see where the car wash is, I think they need to stop driving. I would say we don't need another illuminated sign saying car wash.
Thank you. Dorothy.
I'm sure we've discussed this at Colne area and the last Colne area. But anyway, that's not what I was going to say. I passed that site yesterday as I was driving along in a taxi. And they've got loads and loads of whips in all round the outside perimeter. And I looked at them and I thought, well, depending on what they are, you probably aren't going to be able to see much through there eventually.
Well, why are they putting them?
And so you may not see that there's a garage there, or I don't know. It just made me think seeing them. Yeah.
Well, they must think the people are going to see them, else they'd be wasting the money. So they must think that they'll be.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I don't. But I just thought it's going to look different anyway.
Do we want to mention to Gina to put down that we're concerned about the wildlife, that the illuminating the site will cause distress on?
Well, you can say that about Boundary Mill, and nobody ever says anything about Boundary Mill, and it's absolutely talk about light pollution there. And when we passed that planning application, and David will remember, we did stipulate that those lights had to go off at night, but that's another issue.
Yeah,
and they don't.
No, I don't think it backs onto a nature reserve though, does it?
Well, you're
Boundary
talking about wildlife. That's why I mentioned it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Item it's 25 stroke 0233 stroke FUL 8 Cumberland Street, Colne. It's part demolition and part rebuild to form a workshop. Does anybody know anything about this?
Yeah, I did this last time.
I do actually. And I know the man, the applicant, and he's mentioned it to me and asked me if it had come up. Now I've asked him what he wants to do with this, and he wasn't really that sure. So to be honest, I can't really tell you much about that.
It says erection of a log cabin to be used as a holiday let. Oh, that's the next one. Sorry.
No.
It's a workshop. it says.
He hasn't made his mind up. What, you know, I asked him, is it going to be engineering? No, it isn't. It seemed that he hadn't made his mind up, but he wants to run some kind of business from there, and it's not for him. He wants to rent it out. So I don't know.
What do we want to say?
Yeah, we had this last time when there was a planning application to put a house or houses on there. It used to be a works, so
It did, yeah.
I think we'd find it very difficult to find any good reasons to turn it down.
You did tell me.
Although what we should say is, should ask that any use there is of, I'm going to say small engineering, but light engineering, that's the word, isn't it? So that there's no, and that any building is insulated against noise. Again, I think that's the right word, but that there is noise deadening, noise reduction measures put in place to keep it away from nearby houses.
I've got Brian who wants to
I
speak.
just wanted to ask a question. Is it the old car workshop?
It's John Blackman's spray shop.
Right, yeah.
Ian?
Thank you, Chair. The only thing I would suggest is that, it's hard to say on there, the design materials are in keeping with the local neighbourhood development plan on design code. You know, it needs to fit in it. We don't want something that looks ultra modern and space age in Colne.
Yes, Patricia.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Councillor Bell's phone here. It's got a picture of the the roof is asbestos, is an asbestos roof, so it's going to be controlled demolition within this. But apart from that, I agree with Councillor Robinson. It will have to be within the local design plan.
Thank you. Can we go on to the next one, which is 25 stroke 0276 stroke FUL. It's Green End Smallhold in Lenchers Road, Colne, and that's the erection of a log cabin to be used as a holiday let. Has anybody any issues, comments or anything? No? Okay.
Yeah, I think we should object. I mean, there are already, I can't remember how many objects, there are already plenty of consultations about it. And it's...
Is it the one at the top of Wood Street?
Yeah.
Yes. It's Bert's.
It's Bert's
He put
thing.
something on there.
Yeah.
There were objections to it. It went to appeal, and it were at appeal for about 12 months. Now I think he's trying to put an application in for something that he could get away with.
Rather than that caravan he has.
Yes. Yeah.
What we're saying then?
We object to it.
Yeah.
A log cabin is not in
Keeping
round there. For a start, and well, just wrong thing, wrong Wrong place.
Has anybody any other comments? Does anybody like the look of it? I think. Right. The next one is 25 stroke 0287 stroke FUL. It's Pearl 2, it's a market hall. Change of use at first floor to remove 9 number existing residential apartments to create an ancillary business use at ground floor, including alterations to the external appearance. Did this come to management? No, no. It's Market Hall. Anybody, any?
I do believe that they've had to change the first floor, from what I've heard as hearsay, was because they were looking at being a nighttime economy on the ground floor, that under planning that there wasn't going to be able to have domestic residents above it, which is why I think this is why they brought this in to change the usage.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It came to the Colne area last time.
And smells and
All that business. Yeah, yeah. But it's yes, Dorothy.
Just a bit of information. I was speaking to the site manager about 2 weeks ago. He said, well, we talked about when it was going to be finished. He said, not just yet, obviously. I said, well, what are you talking? September, October. So I've spoken to Philip Spur, and he just said, well, I emailed him and he emailed me back just to say we're pushing Barnfields as hard as we can to get it finished earlier than that.
I know.
But it's not looking likely.
No, no. And we've seen the inside design, haven't we? Which is not what we thought they were going to get.
No. Well, no, Sarah and David were going mad about it, weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. Anyway, it is where we are, as they say. So
is this no comment?
No comment then? No comment? I think there's lots of things wrong with it and they're not happy about it, but I think they're running out of money, so I'm going to have to do what they can do. Right. Item 6 is 26 stroke 0794 stroke LHE. It's 8 Loon Street, Colne. It's a permitted development notification. We just notified it with nothing to do, I think. The next one is 25 stroke 0299. It's a TPO and it's already been decided. It's at Lakeside Cafe on Ballgrove. So that doesn't need any discussion. What? It might be. Yeah. Yeah. The next one is 25 stroke 0315 stroke HHD. It's 12 Thomas Street, Colne, erection of a garage to side elevation.
Yeah.
Is there anything the matter with it? Is it okay? What we saying? Yes, Ian.
Thank you, Chair. Again, you comment on ensuring, because obviously it's stone-built houses, etc., and to put something that the materials wasn't in keeping with look at ISO, were not blending. I think we need to be careful to ensure that the building materials fit into the historic nature of the local area. As again, in keeping with our neighbourhood development plan.
Howard, is it not overbearing? Did it look all right on the plans, like lots of others that people have? Yeah. Brian.
Yeah, I know this house. It looks like it's maybe a terrace has been knocked down, years ago, and this is the end terrace now, and there's a parking space there, and he's got a breeze block wall up at the moment, so it can't look worse.
No,
that's
true. Yeah. So no comment then.
And can I just say as well on our, no, better not. Okay, thank you.
Right, the next one is it's information only because it's an appeal information. You can see that erection of an additional floor to a garage to form a dwelling on land at the south of 117 Greenfield Road, Colne. But there's nothing, it's just for information. The next one is 25/0056/HHO. It's 104 Birtwistle Avenue, erection of a front fence. Oh. Is it? Well, we'll have to say it's not allowed under the development plan.
And one thing I can't figure out with this, myself and Howard noticed it during elections and when we were having a look at it, but if you look at where they've dimensioned it for the height of the fence on the drawing, if Steve can find it. No, that's not showing height. There's one shows height. No, there's another drawing shows the elevation looking at the at part of the fence, and it says it is 1.750 meters high, which it possibly is. Where yeah, it's that one. And on the left-hand corner, which is actually the lowest to ground level, it's actually the lowest corner. It is saying it is 1750. So further along, it's obviously higher because the pavement slopes down and the top of the fence is level. But in the planning application itself, if you look in the actual application, it says the fence is 5 feet high above ground level. Now, 5 feet is not 1750. 1750 is 5'9", like it a lumpy. So the planning application isn't even correct. It says in the application it's a 5 foot fence, and yet they're saying it's 5'9" high at its lowest point.
Well, it's still a big.
Yeah, but it's worse than what the application actually says.
Well, do we want to reject because of the height of the fence? And I think our neighbourhood plan said they should be only low, if you have them at all, and they'd rather have a what's it, a hedge. Yes, Anthony.
Is it the same height as the hedge?
The internet hedges.
No, judging by that, like from where the.
Yes and no. You could say it is higher than the hedge. You could say it is lower than the hedge. If you measure the hedge at the highest point of the hedge, yes, the hedge is higher than the fence. If you measure it the other way around, it isn't. Where the fence is higher than what the hedge was. But the hedge that is remaining is higher than the fence. Yes.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how far it goes. It goes from the front, it's at top of Ruskin Avenue. It goes from the front of the house all along the whole front of the house with some big massive gates. It curves round the corner onto Ruskin and goes all the way down Ruskin as far as the bus stop. That's how big the fence is.
Are we saying we're objecting it too big?
About 9.
Too high, too big. And it's unclear what exactly the height will be as opposed to the hedge or something.
I think there's some discrepancy between the plans and what's actually there.
Yeah.
Can we not chat? Well, you can chat, but
Chair, I think what we need to point out is that in part of the application, it says it's only 5 foot high, whereas that is 5'9", maybe a little bit more than that. And it seems to come down further down Ruskin than is shown on there.
yeah, we got that.
I think
The next one is, it's another TPO. It's ash tree located in garden at 26 Primmett Heights, Colne. And it says removal of a diseased tree and planting a new tree. No comment. We've got a new one. This is, who knows? Maybe they want to
Maybe they
sunbathe.
can't afford curtains.
The next one is 25/03222 FUL. It's land to the west of Garfield, Keighley Road, Colne. Erection of a 2-storey detached dwelling and double garage with associated vehicular access and landscaping. It's across from Peter Hartley Homes. It's, you know, it is in Colne. It's not in. They lived at yes, the Belbins lived at Garfield, yeah. So it's some area just before that, which is across from Hartley Homes. There we are. There you are. It's huge, isn't it? Look, this. Yeah, where Hartley Homes it is. It's still in Colne. It's about another 200 metres before Lancashire Bridge starts. There are 2 on there at right big like ranches like South Park. Now whether this is another like that, I don't know. Yes, Brian.
They are.
I think they own the land right down to the beck, you know, so there is a lot of land available there
Right.
to build.
Down to the where the Ballgrove Park is, where it goes.
So the beck goes down at the bottom. The newer houses on there that they've built, that's gated, that Pearl built, I think it were.
Yeah.
It weren't Pearl.
Well, if it's Garfield, we know where that is. It's where, and it's just the at the other side of them gated.
There's 2 of them
things.
together, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Is the Garfield the one towards Lancashire Bridge?
No, it's the one.
Or the other? Is it that the builder owns?
Is it what?
Is it the house that the builder owns?
It might be.
When it says Lich Gate, that's the entrance to Hartley Homes.
It's not exactly where you think it is. It's not immediately adjacent to the west of Garfield. That is a different one that's had planning permission and being built. Then there is a gap, and then there is this one, which is absolutely ginormous, and it's right up to bus stop at top of Spring, what they call it, Spring Row.
Spring Row.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is where it says shelter there.
Yes.
Oh, the bus shelter.
Got-
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
bus shelter there. And I'll tell you how big it is, Chairman. It's that big. It's a house and it's got 5 toilets. And I'm not joking because you can look up plan and count them.
Well.
Yes. Yes.
So are we saying it's excessive for that area?
Well,
Because there's nice little Spring Row. They're like little.
you know what Garfield's like.
Yeah.
Because you know who lived there
Yeah.
previously. It is considerably bigger than that.
Well, now Davy's pointed out, I think it's the new one that just travels a long way. And I think they've got underground rooms as well. I think they've built it into banking so they can, the garage going underground, I think.
All right.
It's a monstrosity, really.
It's a 4-bedroom with all 4 bedrooms and en suite. So that tells you how we.
Well, you'd have a problem though turning it down because there's them two other monstrosities just next to them.
It's what all developers always try and get with
Yeah,
between other houses. So it's
yeah. Are we saying we don't like the design code? It's not in keeping with the neighbourhood plan because it's still in code. Hello. You want to go on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 9.5 metres high, Chair.
That's big, isn't it? Do we say it's too overbearing, too big in that area? To them who
To
live,
them that are already there.
overbearing to the
Well,
people who are already there. You have to give Gina some words.
Well, we haven't had a chance to really look at it, have we? 'Cause it's only coming
It's
in
new.
today.
It's only come in today.
Yeah.
But we object to its size,
It's actually
its
saying, it's
design.
actually saying here that it's on the gable end. It's random rubble stone, which is what most stone houses are. It's got aluminium powder coated droppings.
Are we saying we don't like?
It is not very good. I mean, to my mind, it's not good design, but I mean, well, it says stone. The rainwater goods are aluminium. I've no idea what ashlar stone is. That's on the front. No, it's spring rolls. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're saying excessive and overbearing. Is that all right?
Pardon?
We're saying excessive and overbearing for the where it is. Where it is.
It's not clear from the information we've got now what the materials are.
They're not clear about the materials.
And
Right, we're on the home straight now. Right. Item 21. Correspondence received. We've got some correspondence from NELP, Super Councils Network. It said, "Dear colleagues, I am getting in touch because your council is now eligible to become a member of NELP's Super Councils Network. The Super Councils Network is a network for the largest local parish and town councils with an annual receipt of over £1 million or an annual turnover of over £1.5 million. There is no cost to join the network. It is open to all councils in membership of their local county association that meets either the criteria or turnover threshold. The network meets quarterly on Zoom between 12 and 1:15. Meeting dates for the rest of the 2025 are as follows: 9th of June, 12th of September and 16th of December. Agendas and dial-in details will be sent out a week before each meeting. Previous meetings have covered topics such as NALC and the LGA's Peer Challenge Programme.
That's what.
That's what Sarah Coleman Price says we should be doing. LG informs data benchmarking tool, the devolution white paper and devolution of assets and services. We welcome suggestions for topic to be discussed at further meetings. The network is open to officers and councillors. However, we will particularly encourage councillors to attend. To that end, we will encourage all councillors to nominate a lead councillor who will attend meetings. If you would like another email address added to the network mailing list or
If your council
well,
does
they've
not
done it
wish-
wrong, haven't they? If
Yeah.
your councils does not wish to be a member of the network, please let us know by responding to this email. The network also have a WhatsApp group. Please feel free to join us here. If you have any questions about the Super Council network, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Otherwise, I will be in touch again ahead of the next meeting on the 9th of June. Now, it might be interesting for us because it's about stuff about devolution and taking assets or things like that. So it doesn't cost anything, does it?
No.
So should we
Nominate.
Do we qualify?
do we have a turnover of over 1.5 million
No.
No, precepts of over 1 million.
precept?
Is it just over now? We just
Yeah,
under?
it's just over.
Well, it could be quite. It could give us, you know, if you're talking to other councils in the same boat as we are.
If it's for no, I can't see any harm.
No.
Nominate chair or vice chair.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of meetings.
Well, I'll give it to Vice Chair. No cost. No. There's no what? Hidden cost. Not.
No,
No,
I don't
it
think
doesn't
so, no.
think so. And we went to the NELC meeting in Preston, didn't we?
We did.
We did, because we had a bit of a because they wanted to vote for somebody and we didn't know who they were, so we had a bit of a we won't vote. We got So, but yeah, so if we can get in touch with councils the same size as ours who are involved in the same issues.
Move, we do it. Move, you're the
Right,
representative.
we've got a proposer, seconder.
Vice chair.
Right, all those in favour of joining this super council thing. Thank you. Items for a future. Oh, well, baby. Don't know.
No,
Right. Correspondence received. Oh, we've just done that.
I've
Sorry.
done that one.
Items for the future month's agenda. Anybody got any issues they want to put on the agenda? No.
No.
Date and time of the next meeting. Tuesday, the 17th of June, 7 p.m. Howard and I will be in our holiday clothes because we're going off the next day for the meal. So he hasn't got any banjo shirts though. So.
Right. I printed some stuff off for you to sign.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
What? Yeah, I'll put it somewhere here. on here.
Just
Yeah, just N for all.
Next year.